Welcome to Your Money with Leo Daprile. I'm Leo Daprile, and each week on AM 570, Dan Rivers and I will talk about anything and everything to do with your money. If you ever have questions, please feel free to call me at 330-533-6936, or you can email me at leo@gemyoung.com. Enjoy the show.
This episode of Your Money with Leo Daprile is sponsored by Grange Insurance.
You and I are, been talking for many, many years, and what you mostly do is you just help people with their life. I mean, when you think about financial planners and, folks, you can, I don't mean to overplay my hand, but Leo is a concierge. You are a guy that we can rely on for advice. And that's what you do. And there's been questions I've called you and asked you about, and you figure it out. You put your staff together and you figure it out.
Well, Dan, it started about 8 years ago, this way of thinking, and it came to be because I was having lunch with a friend of mine, and at the time we were financial advisors. Across the bar was another financial advisor, and I looked around and said, we're all good guys. We all seem to be decent financial advisors, all had good reputations, but nobody was really being that true financial planner. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what got me on the quest by saying, what is it to really be a true financial planner? And I didn't worry about growth. I just wanted to be that. I just wanted to build a business that I thought this town seriously lacked, was just true, comprehensive, deep financial planning.
Yeah, that's what we do. I'm just going to say, just an aside, something personal, I have a 401k here with iHeart. And I didn't think about it, but after talking to you for a couple of years, you said, you can take that money out while you're still contributing. I wonder if a lot of people know that. You can pull money out of an IRA or out of a 401k, and you can put it into a financial planner like you, and where you can manage it better.
As long as that particular 401k permits what's called an in-service distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to research that. But what is it? 401ks are all different. They all have some rules, but then they can also have their own mode of operation.
Most of them, they all follow from the same part of the tax code.
Yep.
But there's different boxes they can check, which can make plans quite different. There can be profit-sharing components, like, for instance, when we establish a 401k plan for our clients, we always add in a profit-sharing component. Not that they ever have to contribute to it, but we build our plans for maximum flexibility so that employers can do, if they have a really great year and if they want to reward their employees by adding a profit-sharing component to normally the employer match. That's
what I like. I mean, our company makes a small employer match, and I can still benefit from that.
Right.
But then I can sweep that money out and have you manage it professionally.
That's right. That's right. And the funny thing is, Dan, and it's like, it seems to me anymore that the bigger the company, the more restrictive the investment choices are becoming. It's almost been that most large companies are just stuffing their plans predominantly with what they call target date funds, where you kind of pick a year retirement. I don't particularly care for those.
Yeah, it's restrictive, isn't it? I mean, because, you're looking at a target date fund, but is it really taking into consideration the current economic activity? Right?
Well, right. And a lot of them are passive. And I think good holistic financial planning should be that your investments should be towards your risk tolerance.
Right.
And no matter what your age is, if you're a more conservative person, you're a more conservative person. So if you're a younger person that's in a target date fund that might be very aggressive because you're young, which you can sit there and make the argument that's where young people should be. And although I may not disagree with that, I think you have to go into it with eyes wide open, because people never really understand the risk of what they're in until we go through a market correction.
Now, those folks that you introduced me to on Saturday, Leo has an annual tailgate party, and I was invited, and I brought my friend Dave with me, and we had a great time. They're on the young side. What is their mode of operation when it comes to investing? I've heard that they're very conservative, when the 20 to 30-year-olds.
They get it. They get it. They know they need to save. They save at a higher rate.
They're entering the 401ks, and they're saving money.
I have 100% participation in my 401k.
Yeah.
They just absolutely get it. They don't believe they're getting Social Security. They've seen their grandparents struggle. Mm-hmm. Their parents have told them to save money. And yes, they tend to be more conservative, because if you think about it, these kids, if you're 25, you've known war most of your life, right? You've been raised in a world where people are less and less trustful of their government.
Yeah.
So they want to save more because they feel like they have to take care of themselves. And it's kind of an interesting behavioral analysis that the more distrusting somebody is, the more they save.
Yeah. Well, I just want to tell my friends out there that are listening to me, if you want a family operation, they're a family business. Leo's 2 boys work in the business, and he has a bunch of other folks out there that are all really with their goals is just to help you as a fiduciary. And when you say fiduciary, they really take it to another level, because what they're basically saying is that we exist for you. Now, you have to make a profit to keep the lights on, and you disclose all of that stuff, but you really exist for your customers.
Yes, we do. We feel that if we just do the right thing and use the right managers and have the right solutions, everything else seems to take care of itself, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, very good. So let's talk a bit about inflation right now. And in prepping for the show, in the United Kingdom, they are at 3.1%. Where are we on annual inflation now?
Well, we're running at 5.6, and the key that's coming is
5.6.
Yeah, that's a hot number.
That is.
So as much as the Federal Reserve would like to say it's a transitory scenario, I really don't think it is, and I think I don't think we're gonna be sustaining a 5% inflation rate. I think it will begin to moderate, because people will start getting at capacity for what things can cost and what they're willing to pay for things.
Yeah.
And especially since a lot of that money out there can be used discretionary. But I think the broader picture is we have an international inflation scenario that we're not really talking about. We've talked a lot about domestic inflation, but
where does that big bank, the Federal Reserve, stand on this?
We're going to find out more tomorrow. That's one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up today. A lot of the other countries, the European Central Bank, even though they're claiming they don't plan on raising rates next year, they're coming out that they're not very convincing, and markets are actually pricing in inflation rates. The UK is running an inflation rate that's above what their target is as well. Bank of Australia is doing the same problem over there, and actually the Bank of Canada, they also did the bond buying program. Like we've been doing, they've actually stopped it and stunned everybody that they stopped it so quickly.
So we're meeting tomorrow. Will there be a decision tomorrow?
I think
maybe not.
I don't think there's going to be a decision tomorrow, but everybody's paying very close attention to what's going to be said or not said.
What if the Bank of England comes in and they raise theirs? Will others follow?
I don't think it'll happen right away, but I think that starts setting the stage for rates to start going up, which I think is also starting to play into part of the reason these packages that the federal government's trying to pass are starting to slow down.
How big is Canada in relation to this? Last week they ended their government bond purchase.
Right. It's more that they're a vital trading partner, and when our trading partners' economies are starting to run that robustly and their interest rates are start going up, the objective there is you want to start slowing down economic activity. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So where did the Chinese fit into all of this? Because, we buy a tremendous amount from them, from TVs to medication.
Their economy's slowing down a little more than they wanted it to, just because of everything that's been happening within the world with the supply chain issue. So right now, Japan's not showing a big inflationary threat towards us. But you got to remember, when we're still importing a lot of things over from China, it's not that necessarily that China's raising their prices. We talked a few weeks ago about what the cost of shipping's done to those items coming over. Plus, you have the retailers on this side still trying to take advantage of increased markups.
So if you move a basis point here in the United States, does that inhibit economic growth? I mean, that should follow, right? You're going to slow the economy down.
Yes. If they move it by a quarter, 25 basis points, which is 0.25%, I think is where they'll start when they do start. But I think it's coming sooner rather than later, especially if there becomes more evidence that this is not transitory inflation.
Now, what would 25 basis points mean to a certificate of deposit? Would we see them go above 1%?
I don't think we'll see them that high, but right now I think the ones I've seen are like 0.15. Mm-hmm. They're not much above that. In the longer-term ones, I've not seen them over 0.5%. Maybe they are out there. I just haven't seen them. But till we start getting a real interest rate of 2 to 3%, it's still going to be a struggle for the conservative saver.
And, of course, the 2 to 3% means that the federal deficit would have to be serviced at a higher rate. From the $500 billion a year in service, it could go to $700, right, or more.
Easily.
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 So that's the other thing, because that becomes a large budget item, doesn't it?
That's right.
Think about this, folks. We spend around $784 billion on the military. The last I looked, we were spending $500 billion a year on interest. Think about the interest rate getting near the military budget.
That's right.
That is, when people, you have these politicians that are saying that you could borrow money indefinitely, and there is an end to it, isn't there? Because when you have an economy that's overheated and 5% is eating away at your savings, there's no silver lining there.
You can borrow money indefinitely when your interest costs are close to zero. Because if you look at the future purchasing power of what you did to that money into the economy, then there's actually a pretty strong logic for that. But once you start introducing interest rate increases, that logic goes off the table.
And if the United States ever came close to balancing their budget, that would be a good sign, wouldn't it?
I don't think it's possible. I really don't. I think with the cost of the social programs, and I think we're going to see with the increasing cost of the debt, I don't think we could get there. I think the goal will be how much of a deficit do we manage. To me, that's my practical answer to that.
Yeah, but I mean, you would just think that if the United States would make the decision and commit to a balanced budget, it would stabilize the world, if it's possible. But why do you say it's not possible?
The cost of the programs we have on the books are impossible unless we start making significant cuts to the programs, and no politician's going to do that.
Yeah, I just think it's time to do that.
Right, but they're not going to. Nobody in office is going to make those. Dan, I think the easiest way to get there is make significant changes to Social Security that nobody wants to tackle. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, I'm the guy out there thinking, for like my kids, they shouldn't even be eligible till they're 75.
Yeah, exactly, because of the longer length of life.
That's right.
And you think about the social programs that we're signing on to here with President Biden and Bernie Sanders even wanting $6 trillion in a spend. He said that wasn't enough. I don't know where he must just be hell-bent on destroying the country. And now we still have Joe Manchin holding out and saying $1.75 billion is too much. Maybe a trillion. Maybe we're finally going to get to the point where people are going to say, let's throw all this away and let's start thinking about how we pay our bills.
It's refreshing to see someone like Joe Manchin, a moderate, doesn't matter Republican or Democrat, a moderate's a moderate.
Yeah.
A moderate finally taking a position of power and making everybody accountable for their decisions. That's the refreshing part to me, and calling out what most Americans are saying and thinking.
All right, we always end our conversation with that FIT meeting, and for those people that join us, we have a lot of people that join us, especially on Facebook. FIT meeting, talk about it.
Sure, that's the opportunity for us to get to know each other. We don't talk about your money. We talk a little bit about what we do. We talk about what our philosophies are. We talk specifically how we get paid and tell you how much we get paid, which is unusual in this industry, so that people know exactly what's going on with their money.
When I first heard that, I said, you get paid for this? No, no, he does. In fact, if you look into the portfolio and all of the stuff out there, basically it's disclosed.
It's fully disclosed, and it shows up quarterly, so there's no surprises. It's in our contract. That's just the way we always felt we should do things, be as transparent as possible. The more transparent you are, people distrust things they don't understand or they can't see.
When people manage money, how much is too much? How much, a lot of people, it can be, some people never know how much their financial planner gets. How much is too much?
That's a wide open question, because it's the complexity of what they're doing. But good money management, if you're talking the cost of the money manager, your financial planner, custodial fees, trading fees, we've seen them we can run them as low as 1.25%, and based on the complexity, we could be as high as 2.1.
Got it. When you say complexity, things that people take a lot of time to invest in, and it takes a lot of work to make sure it has to be carefully managed.
Yes, the complexity of the investment itself.
Is that how you run your business too, depending on complexity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. And if there's parts of the portfolio that are much easier to manage, then there's lower fees for that.
And for those of you out there that may have younger kids and they're thinking about they would like to get involved in money management, well, you also have a stripped-down version where people can do it themselves.
We've modified that a little bit since then, but we've simplified the program. So if younger people, because sometimes they just have to have that gateway in. There's a lot of people out there that are close to our services, but not quite there yet.
Yep.
So, especially with having Stephen around, there's youth to be there to help bring people along.
Yeah, but make sure your young people are involved in their 401ks because it makes a big difference when you're in the 20s, isn't it? Doesn't it?
Well, my kids heard this their whole time. What you do in your 20s determines what your 50s look like.
Yeah, you got it. All right, if you'd like to meet Leo, and his number is 330-533-7941, 330-533-7941. He'll be back in his office as long as it takes to drive back to Canfield. I think you're going back to work, right?
I'm going to stop and vote on my way.
Oh, you're going to stop and vote, so he may be a little bit longer.
Yep.
But get an appointment with him, and people want to write to you.
They can either email me at leo@gemyoung.com, or again, you can call me at 533-7941.
All right, and we always say that you are basically an outlet for people that want a work optional lifestyle.
That's exactly right. And that's always been, it's a fun way to talk about the aspirations of a work optional lifestyle and what it really means, other than not doing this. It's about helping people look at their dreams and consider things they've always thought of doing, but never really started putting, the rubber to the road to really do it.
I wonder how many people are out there saying, yeah, maybe I would like a work optional lifestyle. Mm-hmm. See, Leo, maybe you can do it.
You got it.
Might be able to retire earlier than you thought, or maybe go on to doing your next chapter.
Yep, love it. Love to help.
Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell for notifications. And also make sure to connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. For all of your business news, visit businessjournaldaily.com. For all of your arts and entertainment news, go to AfterHoursYoungstown.com.